But Ron, sometimes you make these investments and it may take a very long time to pay off. It may not pay off. In the case of Tesla, I think your cost basis is $218.74. That's just around where the stock is trading right now.
When we invested in Vail between 1996 and 2006, we made a very modest return, 50, 60, 70% over 10 years. And then we made 7 or 8 times our money. And then when it came public at 13, invested $7 or $8 million, 7 or 8 million shares. And ultimately, the stock went to 150.
I wonder if she feels like a real big idiot now. I don't know if there's really much else to say to that. Is it too late to invest in Tesla? It's only gone up 100% since August, or since that interview took place, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. But I'm going to get to my answers as to why I don't think it's too late to invest in Tesla in just a second. But first, I want to welcome you to my channel. Hi, my name is Brad, and this is Own the Chaos. The stock market's crazy, chaotic place to really kind of understand and learn how to invest. And so I've made it my mission to help you own it. So if you want to see more content such as this, and if you are a fan of Tesla, smash that thumbs up button. I certainly would appreciate it. It helps support this channel. And if you want to see more content, just go ahead and give it a subscribe as well. And make sure that you hit that notification bell to get notified every time I put up a video. And so today's topic, as if it couldn't have been beaten to death enough, is Tesla. But I'm giving a little bit more of a different spin on it. And the reason for that being is because I don't know if too many people have touched on this quite enough, on areas that I feel are super important when it comes to Tesla. You know, there's so many fascinating things about Tesla as to why they're a great car company. Yes, they are super fast. Yes, it's true, it doesn't put out as much pollution as your conventional gas guzzler does. But there is more reasons as to why Tesla is going to be way more valuable, and why I think and agree with Ron about it being worth maybe $1 trillion by the time 2030 rolls around. That being said, given where it's at right now, I would say it's probably going to be worth well over the $400 range. Given when you look at a stock like Tesla and they're valued at around $1,800 per share with the same type of valuation, I would imagine that Tesla's probably headed there, and maybe even further than that, if you can believe it. Now, I'm going to give you my number one reason as to why I think Tesla is going to continue to increase in value as we go along. But before I do that, I'm going to give you some smaller ones as to why I think it's going to rapidly take over the market, as it already is. And one of those is, believe it or not, union workers. You have these other bigger manufacturing companies such as GM and Ford who have invested tons of money. And I'm not just talking about last year or the year before that. Just recently, they're investing, more money into making motors, into making engines. And really the reality of it is that it's just not going to be sustainable moving forward. A huge reason for this is because of union workers, and union workers are fighting to keep the combustible engine, the motor, alive. And I understand it. I get it. People are afraid of change. People are afraid of, what it could do for your job, your career moving forward. But every good thing must come to an end at some point. Trust me, I am a motorhead to a fault. I love working on car engines. It's my passion. It's something that I've been doing ever since I was a child. But you have to understand where the world is going, where the markets are going, and how we're running out of oil. It's not replenishable. It's not renewable. You have to just really come to terms with that. And I don't know why these huge car manufacturers aren't putting up more of a fight because of this, because of where Tesla is investing their money. And for that reason, Tesla has continued to expand their market. And really, they're the only ones that are continuously growing at a rapid pace. They're outpacing all of the major car manufacturers. They're officially worth more than Ford Motor Company, which for a long time, they were the largest automaker in the world. And Tesla will continue to crush them year after year because, well, they just don't know how to invest in the right thing anymore. Another small reason why Tesla will continue to expand and take over this market is because of, believe it or not, dealerships. Dealerships have a stranglehold on these major car manufacturers because of how much money they make when it comes to maintenance. Now, if you could look at things like oil changes, fluid changes, brakes, you name it, anything that breaks on a motor, your valves, timing chains, anything when it comes to maintenance, That's where dealerships really make their money. You can see a lot of these dealerships that have these, employee discount type sales. Dealerships don't care how much money they necessarily make on the sale of an automobile. They really care how much money they make on the back end when it comes to service, when it comes to, all of those maintenance type things that you would see on a normal car. And when they don't have that anymore, that's when those dealerships are in a lot of trouble. So they are also fighting the car manufacturers to continue to build cars with actual gasoline engines or diesel engines that could eventually produce them more revenue down the line when it comes to doing maintenance. Literally, all dealerships care about is pushing units. They don't care about making money on those cars. So, again, at the end of the day, they could sell 1,000 cars, and if they don't make a penny on those 1,000 cars up front, it's not so much of a big deal to them because they know that people are going to bring those cars back to them. They will then make money off of the services that they provide for maintenance. And when you have a vehicle that has no maintenance, what do you think happens to the dealership? This in turn yet provides another competitive advantage for Tesla because they are not restricted and bound by your dealerships and union workers when it comes to manufacturing. So they have literally the liberty to do whatever the hell they want when it comes to providing their product for their customers. One other small example as to why I think that this is just the beginning to invest into Tesla, and I'm getting to that big reason in just a moment, but I wanted to touch on this very quickly. And if I can bring you over to the WeTrade HQ Tesla page, I wanted to show you the daily chart. So this is Tesla back in the early days of 2017, and even if you go back to 2014, 2010 is when they had their IPO, but this is when it really started to get crazy for Tesla. There's a lot of overhyping going on when it came to, the Model 3 and all of their sales and stuff like that. So people were buying this stock all the way up at $380 a share when they were not profitable. The difference between Tesla then and now is that they have actually been turning a profit. According to their last earnings report, they are finally profitable, and I would expect that later on this month, they would continue to be even more profitable, and moving forward, they will be even more profitable, which is only going to continue to drive the price of this stock up. And so when we saw the price of the stock come up to this 380 range and continue to get beat down, it was because of that reason. Now we have a reason for this to continue to move up, now that they are profitable, now that they are making money. Tesla is making a ton of money already, and they're only going to continue to do so because of reason number one. I'm going to tell you right now what that reason is, and it is batteries. Truly unbelievable how much of the battery market that Tesla takes up, and it is over 50%. Of all the batteries that get put into electric vehicles in the entire world, Tesla takes over half of that market. Over 50% of car batteries that are manufactured in the world are Teslas. And because of this is why Tesla's vehicles have becoming more and more affordable because of the price of the batteries coming down, because they are able to take over the majority of the market. And just to give you an illustration here, I just kind of want to give you a nice little chart from Bloomberg Opinion talking about the incredible shrinking car batteries. So if you look at this bar chart here, you see these blue lines. This bright blue line represents the total cost of a battery as it relates to the entire cost of the vehicle. So back in 2015, the entire cost of the battery took up more than half of what it costs to actually make the vehicle. And as we get closer to 2020, now it's just over 25% of the total cost of the vehicle is the battery, of course. And as we get lower and lower, down to 2025, it'll be less than a quarter of what it costs. When Tesla first started making vehicles, the battery itself cost over $100,000. So that is why it costs so much. Now it's at just over $10,000 for the cost of a battery in a vehicle. So you can see how Tesla's taking over this market. They're investing in car batteries and the resources that it takes to make these batteries. And really, when you look at this from a historical standpoint, this is exactly what Henry Ford did when he first started making his automotive vehicle. Everybody looks at Henry Ford's innovation of the assembly line when it comes to the incredible manufacturing process and how he was able to shell out cars at a record's pace, and that's true. But for me personally, I think where Henry Ford really kind of took off and why he was so successful was because of how many of the natural resources he actually owned himself to build his cars with. He didn't have to go and buy natural resources from somebody else. He had them in-house. He had them all a stranglehold of those natural resources so that he was actually selling them to other car companies and making money off of that. And that is where Tesla is really going to have the competitive advantage when it comes to batteries. And these other competitors are going to come to them buying batteries and battery resources from Tesla. So not only is Tesla going to be making money hand over fist when it comes to selling their own vehicles, but they're also going to be selling their materials and products to these other competitors so that they can actually, I don't know, survive in this market. It's really going to be incredible to watch this explode. And I really do feel like Tesla has the potential to become a $1 trillion company by 2030. It's going to be absolutely insane. And that is why I don't think it's too early to invest in Tesla right now. Even if it dips, even if it comes back down some, I don't think it's going to last very long. And that the more that you can add on those dips and invest in Tesla for your longer term investments, I think the better off you're going to be. I don't think you're going to regret that decision whatsoever. But of course, I want to hear from you. Do you think that Tesla is overvalued? Do you think that this is a ridiculous price to be investing into an automotive company? Do you think that you agree with me? Do you think that Tesla is still, this is just the beginning? This is still just the infancy stage of what we're talking about when it comes to Tesla and how it's revolutionizing the automotive industry? I'd really like to hear from you on both sides. I answer all the comments. I read them all. And so I really would like to hear from you and get your thoughts on this. I'm sure there's plenty of things that people can add to this. And I really do want to hear from you. So let me know down below. And that's going to do it for me, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you appreciated this video, if you're a fan of Tesla, or even if you aren't a fan of Tesla, but you could understand where I'm coming from, I certainly would appreciate a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content such as this, I certainly would appreciate a subscribe, and make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time that I put out a video. And that's going to do it for me, guys. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I will see you all before the bell, and B. Smith is out. See ya. Robinhood is the worst brokerage, period, ever, period, end of story, period.